I think there's no Android lineup that's more beloved than the Samsung Galaxy Note. No other phone that's been more influential since the original iPhone. For the past decade, we've seen this product transcend the laughs it first inspired as a concept into becoming the cornerstone of the modern smartphone and tablet, even if Apple will never admit to it. I was also one of the non-believers who never thought that such a behemoth would ever graduate the concept phase, only to see myself use every single iteration that Samsung has made since version 2. But what is it that makes this idea so special? Why is it that even if Samsung has relegated its importance to this being more of the secondary iteration of whatever Galaxy S we get every year, we still want one? In retrospect, I think that it's because of the fact that even if less is more, that doesn't really apply to smartphones. The Galaxy Note embodied a broader ideal where your phone was no longer just an internet communicator, as Steve Jobs once dubbed it. Principles like one-handed use took a back seat, as a larger canvas proved to be more useful and immersive for the new era of mobile consumption. Heck, if I showed you our analytics, 70% of you watch our videos on your phones, a far cry from the way things were about a decade ago. And yet, I think the reason why the Galaxy Note is so timeless is because this continues to be the only phablet that's more than just a larger screen. It's why I love coming back to it year over year as one of my favorite daily drivers, and even if this launch was one of the most polarizing ones, it's always great to come back and see how well it aged. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocket Now, and this is the Galaxy Note 10 Plus After the Buzz. You gotta admit, Samsung hasn't had it easy with this lineup. After the Galaxy Note 7 fiasco, we've heard so many times of the company wanting to kill the name and move on. But 2019 was a different story. We actually got two flavors of the Galaxy Note, and sure, I tried them both. I love the practicality of the smaller one, but who am I kidding? All the power of this phone and its capabilities demand a larger canvas and some style. I've been using the Star Wars edition since February, and let me tell you, Samsung knows how to make a special edition phone. No, it wasn't cheap at $1,300, but I think the $200 price difference was well compensated by the unique accents, the memorabilia, the special pair of Galaxy Buds, and probably one of the best cases I've ever used. And this goes beyond just having the Kylo Ren art at the back. Like seriously, Samsung's leather cases feel of better quality than the rest, which can totally be seen in how this case still looks and feels like new after months of use. About the only scratches this phone has are at the corner of the display, and I still have no idea how those got there. And the rite of passage also meant you were treated to a special skin on the UI, which I disabled on day one. I can't really say I was much of a fan of the weird icons or accents, but I did play a blend with the wallpapers that I still love. Now, one of the main reasons why this phone was so polarizing is because of the things that moved and the things that were lost. I'm sure left-handed people praise the placement of the buttons, but I always found myself struggling to find them, and I think Samsung noticed because they moved everything to the right with the Galaxy S20. This was also the first Galaxy Note without a headphone jack, which I do miss every now and then. And sure, the insane battery longevity of the new Galaxy Buds Plus has been of great help in mitigating the need for the port, but Bluetooth audio is still not at the quality level to fully replace the wire. Still, a lot was gained in the process. The 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED is one of the standards to beat nearly a year later, with amazing color reproduction and such an in-your-face experience thanks to the nearly inexistent bezels that are also matched by some of the best dual-firing speakers I've tested all year. Their hardware more cohesive as an extension of... And this is actually also the only curved display that I'm not bothered by, as palm rejection only continues to get better. Sadly, what didn't age well is that the company was already late to the high refresh rate frenzy. At a time when OnePlus and others were already spoiling the market with less expensive phones at 90Hz, Samsung chose restraint, and if there's one user interface that begs for it is One UI. A month later, we even saw OnePlus at it again with the newer Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus on a less expensive phone, while the Galaxy Note favored an earlier launch that would miss the wagon. You'd even have to opt for a special 5G variant if you wanted to go future-proof. Now, the rest of the spec sheet did fare well, though, as the base SKU of this phone launched with more RAM than most, and even double the storage than this year's Galaxy S20. You do have newer standards like Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5, along with the usual players like water resistance, fast and reverse wireless charging, plus the benefits of a larger power pack. I'd even say that the software aged well. It's no Pixel by any means, but we did get Android 10 in mid-December last year, and it also beat Google at certain security patches. And we also currently have some of the camera features that launched with the Galaxy S20 about a month and a half later. And that I find to be a great record for a device with so many added layers of complexity. See, one of the reasons we forgive this phone is because One UI is what enables the things that we love the most about it. Yes, this Star Wars edition included a lightsaber sound when you call on it. I know, don't blame me for being such a nerd. Thing is, the S Pen is what allows this device to continue being my pocket digital notepad, where I can prepare notes even when my screen is off. It's my phone of choice given how it integrates to some of my favorite third-party applications like Microsoft OneNote, and even the rest of the Office suite. It's still the way I sign documents on the go thanks to exclusive applications like Write on PDF. Like, none of these things are new. Even the Galaxy Note 5 included some of this functionality, but it remains my favorite reason to continue loving this lineup. And sure, it's full of gimmicks, but none which you're forced to use. Like, seriously, I could care less about air gestures or the remote shutter for a photo, but they're here if that's your thing. For me, it's more about my digital notepad not dying on me halfway through the day, and in that sense, well, let's just say that that's where things start getting mixed, as before Android 10 I was able to get more than a day and sometimes a day and a half of battery life, where now I end my days at 20% and sometimes in fumes. I can't really explain what happened after the update, but it could just be that this phone is feeling solidarity for the weirdness of the times. Now, I wish I could also tell you that this phone is my device of choice when it comes to the cameras, but I'd be lying. And it's not that the photos are bad, on the contrary, they're really good. But it's sad to say that even if the Galaxy Note 5 took some of my favorite photos of all time, I really don't see anything special 4 generations later. Now, if you see it in a vacuum, during the day it will produce some very good stills. We saw the company tone down saturation since the Note 9, and that permeates here with some very accurate results. This was also the first Galaxy Note to make the jump to triple cameras, and I do love how this wide-angle lens handles distortion. And even the telephoto is well balanced, and you now get that zoom step UI from the S20, and you can also get some decent results from 10x digital zoom, though nothing really out of the ordinary. And then other features from the S20 were ported, like single take, which I'd lie if I would say that I ever used, but I do take advantage a fair bit of Samsung's night mode. It is a bit over the top in most cases, but pretty reliable in pulling a lot of light from some very dark scenarios. And I even love that we now have selfie night mode making the cut. And also, speaking of those, I still find that if there's one company that knows how to do selfie portraits, it's definitely Samsung. This would also be probably my second pick for anyone considering a vlogging phone. I think that Samsung does a better job than even Google at stabilization. It's got the least amount of warping as you walk, which Android phones are notorious for, and you can also switch to any of the cameras while you record, and that even means flipping to the selfie camera. And I'm also talking 4K at 60 frames per second from any of these cameras, which is fantastic. To conclude, I have to say that it's always great to come home. It's always great to come back and revisit my favorite lineup and remember why, for me, the Note has always been the Note. I even found this phone to be a great breath of fresh air after using the Galaxy S20 Ultra for a couple of weeks. That phone was just too large and heavy. What's unfortunate is that just like I switched away from the Note 9 when the Galaxy S10 Plus launched with the triple cameras and the better display, the same thing happened after I started using the Galaxy S20 Plus about 2 weeks ago. See, I feel that there's nothing wrong with having 2 major product launches every year that are 6 months apart, but I do think that it's a mistake to launch the newer phone with the same specifications of the older one. The display of the Note 10 Plus should have at least launched with 90Hz, and I also feel that more differentiation should have been given to grabbing the 5G variant. If you had to pick today between the S20 Plus with a screen that's 120Hz and all the flavors of 5G for the same price as the Note 10 Plus, the choices become pretty obvious. For a lineup with such a loyal fan base, I think that Samsung should start loving their Galaxy Note as much as we do. I do feel that the company needs to figure out a way to have this phone differentiate itself even beyond the S Pen, in a way where the next Galaxy S will not overshadow it when it launches a couple of months later. And sure, I have no problem in recommending this phone today after the buzz if you can find a good deal for it. I'll be sure to leave some links in the description in case you're still interested. But I'm not going to deny, right now, all I have in my mind is whatever next big thing Samsung has in the pipeline, which should be launched over the next couple of weeks. Let us know what you think about the Galaxy Note 10 Plus after the buzz in the comments down below. And while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Also follow me on my personal handles to see me try to keep my cool as I remain locked in. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.